The Footprints Conversation series features discussions and insights from accomplished workplace and marketplace leaders, and their experiences on key leadership issues that could be of value to professionals and businesspeople working for the Lord in their workplace and marketplace. We are back with His Excellency Moses for the last biblical leadership principle. He has already given us great insights on the biblical leadership principles of 1. Concern and calling, 2. Commitment, 3. Character, 4. Capacity, and 5. Communication from his own experiences. Please let's welcome His Excellency for the 6th biblical leadership principle.
I really enjoyed these great moments with you. The last principle is conflict resolution, which is the process of settling conflict or dispute. As a believer working for the Lord in your workplace, you would face conflicts most of the time, and the first thing you need to know is that most conflicts involve more than what you see in the physical and the people involved in the conflict. My goal is to shift your focus to the dimension of conflict that you don't see but that determines the outcomes of the conflict.
There are several techniques including open communication, negotiation, mediation, arbitration, and litigation that are suggested for resolving conflicts. What's your opinion about these techniques?
As a judge, I used negotiation, mediation, and arbitration a lot in settling disputes between the Israelites. But from that experience and from the experience with Pharaoh, I will underscore that as a believer, you should always focus on handling disputes not from the physical point of view, especially when these techniques are not working. Certainly, none of these techniques would have worked on Pharaoh Ramesses.
Why? You couldn't negotiate or litigate with Pharaoh for the human right abuses.
Negotiate with Pharaoh? Conflict that was going on was beyond Pharaoh and myself. It was not physical with flesh and blood. The conflict was between the Lord and the strongholds of Egypt. The Lord used Pharaoh's stubbornness to demonstrate to his deities that he, the Lord, is sovereign. For example, when the Lord told me to take the ashes from the furnace and I tossed it into the air before Pharaoh, that caused festering boils to break out on all Egyptians, including Pharaoh and his magicians. The magicians were so embarrassed with the big boils on their faces that they must run away.
The magicians run away?
They couldn't stand before us with those big boils on their faces. Imagine, if you are one of those magicians, will you still trust in your deities? Just imagine Pharaoh humiliated and returning all alone to his palace when all his skilled army officers were drowned in the Red Sea. Could you imagine what would be going through his mind about Ammon or Osiris, his gods?
I could imagine him thinking about gathering all those powerless deities and setting them on fire when he returns to the palace. So, there was more at stake than just a conflict between you and Pharaoh for the freedom of the Israelites.
Yes. The next experience I am going to tell you and your audience was so profound that the Lord told me to document it and to make sure Joshua understands it. I pray you and your audience will also understand this and apply it at your workplace. If you are locked in horns of conflict with a colleague at your workplace and you are handling it in the physical by trading blows, insults, and any hateful actions imaginable, listen to this carefully.
Audience, please let us listen and apply what His Excellency is going to tell us.
In Exodus 17 verse 8 to 15, the Amalekites came and attacked us at Rephidim, so I told Joshua to get some of our men for the fight. Before the Lord gave me understanding that conflict is not always physical, I murdered a man who was in conflict with one of the Israelites. This time, with my knowledge and experience from the Lord that we are not fighting against flesh and blood, I climbed up to the mountain with Aaron and Hur for the actual fight that would determine the outcome at the battlefield. Whenever I raise my hands with the staff of the Lord in praise and recognition of his power, the Israelites won. Whenever I brought my hand down out of tiredness, the Amalekites won. So Aaron and Hur got me a stone to sit on and they held my hands up. That brought the victory over the Amalekites. Did you get the spiritual insight from this?
Somehow. I will say lifting the conflict to the Lord and handling it in the realm of the Spirit.
Certainly, the conflict should be the Lord's. Let me ask someone in your audience. Have you lifted up the conflict you are now going through to the Lord? Are you handling the conflict with your own effort? You may be making a big mistake. Prayer in conflict should be key. You can't win without it.
What about if the parties involved in the conflict are all believers who somehow should be controlled by the same Spirit of the Lord?
Don't ever make that mistake. No matter how spiritual I may be, if I yield myself to views, thoughts, and imaginations that are contrary to the Word and the Spirit of the Lord, I could be used to hate and even cause harm to another believer. As I told you about my Numbers 12 experience when we discussed communication, Aaron, my brother, was a priest, but he yielded to racist thoughts, and with my sister Miriam they were used for one of the painful personal conflicts I had in my life. The Lord came to my defense all right, but I learnt that anyone could be used to dispute, oppose, or do harm to another believer if the person yield to thoughts, views, and even strongholds not of the Lord. This is why discernment and prayer are very important in conflict resolution as a believer. You have to discern the spirits controlling not only your opponent but you yourself. Have you yourself yielded to a different spirit in the conflict?
This is certainly profound. Jesus discerned the right spirit when he told Peter, "Get behind me, Satan," after Peter yielded to Satan to be used to withstand the Lord. May the Lord help us to apply these key lessons in our workplace and marketplace. Your Excellency, we can't thank you enough for these 6 key biblical leadership principles you have shared with us from your own experience. Please, audience, join me in thanking His Excellency Moses.
For those who sent us messages of how you were blessed by the discussions in the video, God bless you for that. Our understanding from Hebrews 4 verse 2 is that you were blessed because you combined what you heard with faith. May we ask you to encourage those you pass on the videos to do the same. Let us encourage one another to apply these biblical leadership principles as we fulfill our callings at our workplace.